2, 1. What's up, everyone? I'm Casey Smith, your host on the Hoops and Hits podcast, joined by Jordan Pullitt, my co-host, and a new special guest, Dylan Francis. DJ, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. Didn't do too much, but a nice, real relaxed day.
And then Jordan, how are you doing today?
Walmart was low-key trash today, I'm not gonna lie. But it's all right.
Yeah. My day at work was kind of bad too. I was on bathroom duty. It's weird because I work at Submarine and I just got my job. And it's weird because, like, I was telling Jordan this earlier, like, 50% of the stuff is just cleaning. It's like I'm washing dishes, I'm cleaning the bathroom, I'm just doing whatever. It's not even like making sandwiches. I haven't made a single sandwich yet. I just work at
haven't made
a single sandwich yet. So
Yeah,
I haven't worked the register. No. I do stuff, okay? I do stuff.
Sure,
but I'm just not making sandwiches. I'm going around doing basically everything else. Taking out the trash, sweeping down, doing sweeping, mopping. But that was my day. We got a really great episode planned for you guys today. It's our soccer special episode. That's why we had DJ. We originally planned to have another person here, but they forgot. So we're going to be covering March Madness, NFL, NBA, and then soccer as well. Jordan and I do not know that much about soccer. I would say I know a little bit more than Jordan. So that's why we have DJ. We're going to really have another soccer expert, but we don't. So let's just get started right away with the March Madness section.
Expert's a little far.
Like, compared to me and Jordan, you are an expert. You're an analyst.
You're
I was talking about Rami.
Thiago Henry.
Rami?
Is that today?
He's not an expert.
Rami works really hard at his craft.
Rami or Mud?
Or who?
Or Mud?
Rami. Go on.
Rami.
All right, so today we're going to be kicking off with March Madness. So we're going to be doing our favorite game of the tournament so far. When this is being recorded, we are halfway through the Elite Eight, so there's 2 more games going on tomorrow. Jordan, what has been your favorite game of the tournament?
My favorite game isn't my favorite experience. I'm just my favorite experience for this one. We were all at school watching March Madness in our classes. 4-seed Virginia versus Furman. Nobody knew what they were talking about when they picked Furman. You can't convince me that John Mack was like, yeah, I like that guy on Furman. He doesn't know anything. He just picked a good color and logos.
I didn't know what I was talking about, like, with Furman, but I knew that Virginia was a fraud. So that counts for something.
You can't place Virginia or Furman on the map. Can you place Furman on the map?
General
area.
I think it's Illinois. I could be
I do
completely
think
wrong.
it is Illinois, because I did a bracket that was
I
closest
remember
to
you
my
told.
house.
I remember you told
I
me.
think I'm gonna go with Illinois.
I'm pretty sure you told me Illinois.
Right
I remember
now.
that.
Go
Well,
ahead.
the reason why I liked that game so much was because we were watching another game. I forget which game.
Greenville, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Exactly. Complete wrong area on the map. So we were watching another game that was coming down to the end. And I asked, is the Virginia game over? My friend Kenny, he was like, yeah, it's over. So I was like, let's go. You guys all picked Furman to win. And you guys were just flat out wrong. And then my friend Colin and Logan, they pull up their game on their phones. And all of a sudden, this dude chucks it to half court. And we see the 3 go in. And I was like, what happened? Like EDP. What happened?
Why should we bring it up?
It's gonna get pulled up in like 20 years. We're done.
Like EDP. I mean, he said it.
No, I know. No, yeah, I know. Out of context, it might sound a little weird when you're saying like EDP.
I was like EDP in that moment.
No, that was a really good game. I enjoyed that, obviously, as someone who picked Furman. I think,
Stupid game.
it was, it was an exciting, good upset. That was definitely a contender for my favorite game of the tournament, but another game that maybe was not, like, as close to the game throughout, but I thought was a really good experience was Gonzaga versus UCLA. So, if you hadn't seen that game,
My gosh.
basically,
That was stressful in
it
the
was
last
very
2 minutes
yeah.
for both ways.
So basically, UCLA was up a ton, right? And there was maybe like 4 minutes left or so, and UCLA was up a good like 15, I would say. And then Gonzaga just comes back. Drew Timme is just going down, freaking doing 1960s post moves on these fools. And then all of a sudden, Gonzaga's up like 9 with like 40 seconds left or something. So UCLA basically just choked this game away. But then Gonzaga chokes it away again, and then it's like right at the very end of the game, and then Gonzaga ends up pulling it away. So it's a back and forth at the very end. And the thing that I said about that game is that whoever lost would feel like they choked it. Either team, regardless, because they both had big leads at the end. And it did end in an exciting fashion. I think those are 2 of the best teams. Those are really good teams, a 3 and a 2. And we haven't really seen, like, I think that might be the highest seeded game we've seen. Because so many of the 1 seeds have been upset because there's so much parity.
I just realized something.
I was going for a walk.
I believe that Jordan has just moved the camera for the YouTube cast. Also, we have the Clippers Pelicans game going on in the background.
They
Clippers
are
are
getting
getting
murdered.
Yeah, Clippers are,
Xavier Moon about to pull up from 3.
yeah, Xavier Moon. If you know who Xavier Moon is, it's great.
For my favorite game, it's a cliche pick, but a lot of our friends had Arizona going deep, like Final Four, maybe winning deep. I think we had a few people having them win, and just seeing them lose first round was just like hilarious to me. I didn't pick Princeton, obviously. I don't think anyone did, but just seeing everyone's dreams just fall apart was really funny.
Yeah, no, that.
I like the Purdue version of that game more, where they lost to. Dude, I already forgot their name. Like Fair Dickinson or something like that.
Yeah. FDU.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
FDU.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was like honestly inspirational to see like a 16 seed beat another 1 seed.
Yeah.
That was a good one, and also the thing about that was like, with Purdue and Zach Edey, like the tallest dude on FDU was like not.
Yeah, they're the
that-
shortest team in the nation.
They were really short, and then they're going up against this huge, dominant dude, and
They low-key shut him down.
it wasn't even Zach Edey's fault because he would just have like 4 guys come on him, and then he would have to. Sorry, he'd have 4. He'd have like a lot of players guarding him, and then he would kick out, and just his shooters could not hit.
He
And
still
there's-
had 21 and 15 that game, which is crazy, and they still just couldn't
He
win.
ate, but it was literally like David versus Goliath out there. It was like seeing like. It's like when you're playing basketball against like your niece or nephew or your little cousins and all of them are surrounding you. That's what Zach Edey was doing.
Really
And he was like just kicking out. And then you're kicking out to like your sister or whatever. She's just ripping shots. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep up with the analogy.
Grandma for 3.
Yeah, grandma for
Grandma
three.
for 3.
But let's move on to some predictions here. So predicting tomorrow's games, we've got SDU versus Creighton and Miami versus Texas. Jordan, do you want to kick us off? You can do whatever game you want first.
I'm gonna start off with the SDSU game. It was cute, but you're not winning the national championship, so
Okay.
might as well just end it now. Creighton, I picked them to make the Elite Eight in pretty much all my brackets, then lose to Alabama. That would have been nice if I could have gotten at least that part of my bracket right, which I couldn't even get that right, but I just don't think SDSU has enough tournament experience when it comes down to like the Final Four and the championship game.
And Creighton does?
No.
Creighton does. Creighton does.
And neither does Florida Atlantic. That's the weird part about that side of the bracket. Like, none of these teams have any tournament experience at this point. It's just really weird.
Well, going this deep in the tournament, when you look at the Aztecs, they have like 5-year starters, 5-year players, 6-year players. They have very old veteran, which is weird to say for college basketball. They have veteran, legit players. So I think when you come to the experience argument, that's a little bit faulty because both teams don't have like traditional tournament, like deep experience that you would think of from like a Duke or not a Duke or Kentucky because their players all go away in 1 year. But maybe like a
At least experienced coaching.
yeah
Like,
experience.
SDSU's best season, they didn't even make the tournament because it got canceled.
That was brutal. Yeah, in 2020 when they were going to be like a 2 seed or something. But yeah, I mean, I'm picking the Aztecs. I have to. I'm an SDSU fan, and I think just their defense is what carries them. They're going to have like Matt Bradley, their best player. I mean, last game he didn't even score.
Yeah.
But they're still going to be able to have their defense carry them, and they have such a deep roster that is able to play through so many guys that they just wear teams down. And what fan would I be if I didn't pick SDSU in this game? Especially against a team like Creighton, which like Creighton is good, but it's not shooters.
Alabama.
It's not Alabama.
I think with the role that they're on, SDSU should win. I don't know if it's like
it's by no means.
No, I know, but like I don't think it's like picking a favorite or whatever. I genuinely don't see a clear favorite or anything. I think SDSU does have a slight edge. I think they're way better defensively, and I think that should stop Creighton. And I think they've been able to hold up offensively fine. They beat Alabama, so I think they can take it.
I got Creighton's shooters, man.
Creighton
I got a lot of shooters on that team.
Yeah, but good deed always beats good up.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships. All right, now we're moving on to Miami versus Texas.
Well, I basically have a $150 pair of shoes on this game, so I need Texas to win. If Texas doesn't win, I mean, I don't lose anything. I just lose out on the opportunity for that. But
What are the shoes?
any shoes that I want for
Any shoes? What would you pick? I mean, like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
I'd get a second pair of those Dreamville Crocs.
Second pair, crazy.
I'd probably get some Dreamvilles.
I don't want to
or
like.
something.
I hate to expose you, Jordan, but this guy wears Crocs to school with no socks on.
Well, it's raining
In the
out.
rain.
No.
In
Not no
the
socks
rain.
in the rain.
In
Not
the
no socks in the rain. I've never done no socks in the rain.
I think you
I might be
No, I
better
haven't.
to wear no socks than socks in the rain.
maybe.
It
I don't
actually
know.
might.
But
Okay. It's nasty. For that game, I have Texas just for the sheer fact that there needs to be a high seed in the championship game. It's crazy to me that there's a 5, 6, a 5, and a 2 left.
And a 9.
Yeah, true. I forgot about the other side. I think Texas should take it. I feel like it's just right at this point. There's been way too many upsets. I feel like it just has to be Texas.
When's the last time no 1 or 2 seed was in the Final Four?
Never. I don't know.
I don't know. I am once again going to disagree with Jordan. I'm going to go with Miami here. I think when you look at both of these teams, they've both been battle tested throughout their first 3 games in the tournament. They both played tough teams, and they both won by a significant amount. But I would just slightly give it to Miami. I mean, they destroyed a Houston team that, at least statistically, led the nation in a lot of things. I mean, they crushed Indiana, who's a 4 seed, and then their closest game was against Drake, which is a little funny. And then you go to Texas. They played Colgate, destroyed Colgate, barely beat Penn State, and then pretty comfortably beat Xavier. So you look at these teams, they're very similar in that regard. But I think that Miami's defense is better. So when you look at 2 teams that are very similar, I'm going to pick the better defending team. Maybe if that's it's just a safer pick, honestly, which feels a little lame. But I'll take Miami in this one, which would make a Final Four of the 5 seed, the 5 seed San Diego State, the 9 seed FAU, the 4 seed UConn, which I did predict being in the Final Four. I did predict them being in the Final Four, and the 5 seed Miami. Nah, bro,
Lucky pick.
simple rating system. Simple rating system they do.
I hate this.
Simple rating system.
Anyone that uses like statistics or
Simple
anything
rating
for all
system.
that, just
It's just a guideline.
I just picked my gut,
It's just a guideline.
which
All right.
obviously didn't work, but
And I think that wraps up our March Madness section, unless we have.
Yeah, I just had one thing about Miami. Their men and women's team are both still alive.
wow, thank
So
you.
they could both win it. That would be the first time since 2014.
I've been
that-
seeing their women's team on TikTok. They're rolling.
I have not seen.
What do you mean by that?
I did not know that. I literally have no idea what you're talking about, but
You're on the wrong side.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
well, I could
We're
probably
talking about the
make
same thing, right?
an inference. But
You've seen them on TikTok before.
No, I haven't.
The twins?
No,
They're identical twins on
I-
Miami's
no.
team.
Yes, he has.
I have not seen.
Bro,
He's lying.
don't act like
He's
because you're your
lying.
girlfriend you can't see girls.
No, I genuinely don't know what you're talking about. I genuinely don't know what you're talking about.
Yes,
Bro,
you do.
I'm done with this, man. We all know
Alright,
you
we
see
can
it.
move on.
I'm gonna move on to the NFL section.
Shade.
I'm gonna move on to the NFL section. So this is a discussion that is near and dear to all 3 of us because we all have quarterbacks who are part of this. Trading for QBs if it's a good idea. So for me personally, as a Browns fan,
Look, identical twins.
Oh,
Don't look
you
at
see
that.
These people?
I've never seen these
Really?
people, but now I have.
Welcome to the club.
Well, yeah. Anyways, trading NFL QBs. So when you're looking at that, I'm looking at not just like any old bum QB, but I'm talking about like elite, arguably top 10 quarterbacks when they were traded, or at least
Top
the idea.
5
of them.
even.
Or top 5 even. So with the Broncos, they traded for Russell Wilson. With the Browns, we traded for Deshaun Watson and
gave
Jordan.
him the most guaranteed money in
And NFL history. And then Jordan may have Aaron Rodgers traded away. Some other examples would be Stafford to the Rams, and that's obviously like when teams do that, that's what they point to as this is why we're doing it. The Rams traded for Stafford right away. They win the Super Bowl, and now they suck after, but it's okay because they won the Super Bowl. Jordan, what do you think about trading for QBs in general in each of those deals, if you don't mind?
I think it should be the final move if you're doing it for like a veteran QB. If you're trading for like there hasn't really been an example of this. The best example would be like Sam Darnold or someone giving a rookie a chance. I don't think you should give like a young QB all that draft capital. Even if you have seen stuff, I want to see a lot before I trade my whole future like the Broncos did. But I think if it's the last piece of your rebuild and you already have a championship team and you just need an upgrade, then it's completely fine to go on all in a QB. I think QB is the most important position, but I don't think your quarterback can carry you to a Super Bowl unless you're like Patrick Mahomes,
Literally.
maybe Tom Brady, but he even had a great team around him his whole career.
And even Mahomes has a really good team. Like, his team is not a bunch of bums.
Yeah.
But yes, when you have a quarterback like that, they can elevate. And I pretty much agree. I would say that if you're that one piece away, that's how you do it. And even if you look at, like, the Rams, they were not like some dominant team. Like, they were a 4 seed. They barely rolled in. They got some calls to go their way if you look back at that series. Or not that series. Yeah, but like their playoffs.
Season, yeah.
Their playoff route. So doing that is like really risky. It's almost like in the NBA, similar to trading for a superstar, betting your whole future on one guy. But the difference is that in the NBA, if I trade for LeBron James, and even if I have like everyone else bad, like LeBron James like 5 years ago, not now, but about 5 years ago, you're still going to have a competent team just because you can affect the game so much. But if I trade for Patrick Mahomes and my team is like the current
Jets.
Texans, they probably aren't making the playoffs. So in the NBA, it's a little bit more worth it because also guys are less injury prone, they matter more. But in the NFL, you really have to have your team to that level. And I think that's why like what the Broncos did and what the Browns did is wrong. The Broncos and the Browns, the quarterbacks they got, were like pretty bad teams.
Yeah.
They didn't have good rosters. And then if you look at the guys themselves.
A big thing is as well, it's super risky because now, yes, the Rams got to their Super Bowls while they had them, but they have zero future for like
they're gone.
they like 0 picks. They don't have any first round pick this year. I don't think like any important picks coming up. They're like screwed future wise. Yes, they got what they wanted, but now for a while they're screwed. Like they're losing their star. They got rid of Ramsey for a bag of chips. Like
And they paid a premium for him.
yeah.
Like it was basically a 3-4 year rental, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot.
Matt Stafford pushed him over the edge, but now even he's injured. He's banged up. He's got that back problem. I don't know if that's what that's going to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's up there. Now their team's just kind of falling apart. They don't have Andrew Whitworth anymore, who's a really underratedly valuable part of that team.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he was huge.
he was a leader for that team.
And you
so.
also got to remember that mid-season they also traded for.
Y'all see this commercial, bro?
don't,
I've seen
but-
some weird things. I'm sorry, but
Okay, but mid-season they also traded for Von Miller and they signed Odell, so they really had to do everything
Yeah,
and
they
they
pushed.
sacrificed it all. But I would do it in a heartbeat. If you told me today that the Browns would suck for like 20 years, which they already have for winning a
Forever.
Super Bowl, I would do it. I mean, like that is just it's worth it. And I know it sucks and it's risky, but if you're right there, I could see doing it. Do you guys think it'll be worth it with the Jets?
I don't know, man. I think if Aaron
what are they
Rodgers
trading
does,
for?
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers?
I think the deal's falling
Why are you
apart.
looking
I
at
haven't
me?
seen
Yeah,
that.
I'm pretty sure the Aaron Rodgers deal is falling apart.
They're
but
saying that the Jets had they officially failed to meet the
yeah,
Packers.
I think
offer.
I did
Well,
see
what
that.
are the Packers gonna do? Bring him back?
No, he's
Keep him.
retiring.
Retiring?
Keep 'em.
I don't know. I feel like that's. I've seen a lot of people say that the Jets don't have any leverage, but I feel like the Packers don't. Why would you not? Like, what do you gain by him retiring? Literally nothing. But if you trade him, at least you can get,
Pride.
even if it is like a 5th round pick, at least you're getting something. But
Yeah.
if he just retires, you don't get anything.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're going to bring him back and play. Like, he's not going to be the starter. It's not going to be the starter from him. And also, I think the Packers are ready to move on.
Yeah, I think it's Jordan Love season.
So I don't think the Jets have all the leverage, but I think the Jets have a good amount of leverage because, like, if the Jets don't get him, it's going to hurt their odds of winning. But also, they can move on. They can try and find a different guy. The Packers, there's no point in trading. There's no
Yeah.
point. Literally none.
Yeah.
Packer for life.
Oh my God. Shut up.
I don't think that, and if the Jets even do get him for whatever they're gonna do to get him, whatever contract, whatever trade asset, whatever it takes, I don't think he'll help that much. Like we've seen it multiple times now. Russell Wilson just didn't help the Broncos at all. I just don't think an older quarterback, even Tom Brady, like that, he did that one really good year, but last year he was good, but he wasn't like that's Tom Brady good. Like he was all right. Older quarterbacks just can only last so long. So I don't know, man.
His Super Bowl year and the year after that were very good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Rodgers. I do think he will help a lot, but it's not because of him. I think when you look at guys like Rodgers, like he really he fell off a little bit last year, and that can come sharply.
Yeah.
But the Jets had Mike White and Zach Wilson starting, so pretty much anyone was an upgrade.
And they did pretty
And
for
they
their roster, they did pretty decent.
They have a very good roster.
Yeah.
I really like their defense and the pieces they're going to have around whoever quarterback they have. I think Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, very legit. Especially, I'm very high on Garrett Wilson. But
Having the offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the
Yeah.
year is crazy.
and,
Like,
and,
that's
and
future.
Sauce is awesome.
Yeah, that's
Sauce
future.
is just awesome. But Zach Wilson was so terrible. Like Zach Wilson was so terrible. Mike White wasn't much better. So I think Aaron Rodgers coming in, he will be an upgrade, but I don't think he'll be the Super Bowl upgrade. I think that why did they not offer Lamar a contract? I mean,
Yeah. And I don't know. If they don't get Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what they're gonna do quarterback wise because they don't have like a fantastic draft pick. So I don't know.
Draft pick?
I
Because they
think.
made the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's pretty late, like 20
They
probably.
didn't make the playoffs.
They were like in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
they'll be
It's
like
not gonna break
15
the-
range
yeah,
probably,
14, 15.
which isn't great. It's still
13.
Do they have someone else's pick?
13. I don't
13? It might be
I
someone
don't think
else's.
so. But that's not like a crazy good pick or anything.
You
So
can't
if
get-
they don't get Rodgers, I don't know what the plan is there. Are they betting on another season with a mid quarterback
Yeah.
and letting their rookies expire another year? Like I don't know.
The point is, if you were going to draft a quarterback, you would want one of the top 4 guys. You would want Richardson, Stroud, Young, or Levis. I don't love Levis, but that is what you
I don't
would
love any. I think they're all
I think so.
overrated.
I think Stroud, and I really like Stroud.
Richardson,
yeah.
I think Richardson's overhyped because Combine. We've seen Combine quarterbacks
Like Josh Allen?
do decent, but like we've also seen them do terrible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a risk.
It's
but
a
like,
huge risk.
here's the thing, like, it's a huge risk, but as a general manager of an NFL team, you are there to develop players. And if you think you can develop a player, then you're gonna
Yeah,
take Richardson. That's what you see
Yeah,
from an
because
NFL.
Combine. He was out. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
looks like he's already an NFL MVP.
He only started 1 year in college, which
Yeah,
might
I
sound
know.
like bad, but if you look at like most prospects, like their first year, they were bad. So
Trubisky only started 2 years in college.
that's not one though, and that's also Mitchell Trubisky, who wasn't running like
No,
the
he
greatest-
was. He
was good, but he wasn't like this is.
pre-draft.
I think if you put him in the NFL right now, like outside of maybe like Lamar and Josh Allen, there's no better athletes. Just like pure athletic quarterback.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts isn't as big, and I don't think he has big of an arm. I think he has really good deep ball accuracy, but like purely throwing the ball the farthest you can, I think Richardson might be better.
Jalen
So-
Hurts
Doesn't
can't.
Zach Wilson have a really good?
Deep ball.
But he also
did,
played
yeah.
for BYU against a bunch of farmers.
No, in the combine.
In
You
the-
don't remember? He threw
Yeah,
like
combine,
he was running to his left or
Yeah, he
80
was-
yards to his right.
He was a Combine quarterback. That's
Yeah.
that's another proof
I
of like
wouldn't-
why Combine
I
quarterbacks
wouldn't-
aren't always perfect.
I wouldn't
Like,
compare. No. I'm not saying he's going to be perfect, but I'm saying he's risky, and I think Zach Wilson was a bad example of that because you've seen him play multiple years. He played in a COVID year. It was just a very different situation. The hope is for more of like a Josh Allen, but I also do think Stroud is very. I think Stroud is very solid. I would be happy with taking Stroud, and Young. The main problem is just like he's small, and you'd be worried about him getting hurt. But from like a play perspective, I don't think that affects him too much because you've seen that
Kyler Murray,
he can throw over the middle of the field well. And there's also examples of smaller good quarterbacks.
Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, both small.
And Drew
I
Brees.
don't know about Kyler
And-
anymore, man.
True, but his first few seasons, he was good.
You can
He's
see
also
the vision.
the issue is he's gotten injured, and like that's a worry. Like,
That's what
Kyler's been has constant
And he doesn't-
injuries.
Bryce
the
Young would
last
be
few
the
years.
smallest quarterback ever. He's not only short, but he's skinny. Which is a big problem when you're having these 300-pound dudes just ramming into you. I mean,
He's
It
six,
is-
he's 6 foot flat.
and yeah, he's just really skinny. But
Kyler's 5'10", so he's 2 inches taller than Kyler Murray.
what were we even talking about, bro?
About who the Jets should
The
take.
draft.
Who the Jets
I
should
think
take.
whoever
So, yeah,
the
you wouldn't-
Jets believe the most sure thing is, I think that's.
But the
who
thing
they
is,
should
at
take.
13, they would not get one of those top 4
No.
guys. So
Yeah.
since you're not getting one of those top 4 guys, you don't want to take like Hendon Hooker. So you're like at that point, like
That's
you're
a
not,
good fit.
You're not getting one of those top 4 guys. So that's not the route you can take. So you can't draft a guy. You kind of have to get Rodgers or some other
And
guy.
I don't know trading up in the draft if they have like obviously have assets for that, but I don't know like what the asset would be to trade up.
And you would have to move pretty far up. You'd have to move up to like the Cardinals pick probably.
The Panthers are going to draft one.
The
The Texans are
Texans are
gonna
gonna
draft.
draft
Texans, Panthers,
You'd probably have to trade
Raiders
up for the
might.
Seahawks pick.
Raiders might.
Raiders at 7. You have to.
Seahawks,
get
I've
Reese
heard that the
before
Seahawks still want a quarterback
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
to push Gino.
Point is, you'd probably have to get pretty far up to the Cardinals around. You'd have to get past 7. So it would be a lot to trade for. So yeah, point is, I think they're gonna get Rodgers. I think it's gonna take a while, and I think it's gonna be an upgrade, but not like a Super Bowl upgrade. And it's kind of gonna be a short-term Band-Aid for a team that, I mean, if they just had like a top 15 guy, I think they could be a real big threat.
They've had a rough stint too. Like they've been on like a good 10-year bad run, so
Who's
they
gonna
need
last,
something.
like good quarterback.
Yeah.
Like
The last time they had a good quarterback was like
Joe Namath.
Brett Brett Favre.
But even that was just
Even he
retirement
was like,
years.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't amazing, but he was alright.
Yeah, I don't know. Even Joe Namath is like insanely overrated for
He's
being like. Yeah, for
He's
being
just
like.
the Super Bowl promise thing. But like if you,
Man,
I mean,
all
obviously
quarterbacks before the 80s, I just don't believe you were an actual quarterback. Like, if you're
Joe Montana's not real.
giving like NBA players from 50s, like Wilt, I just
Willis
don't believe.
Reed.
I just don't. Willis
He
Reed
had
was
like
like
a full-
70s.
he had
Wilt,
like
I
a
just
40
don't
inch
believe.
vert and ran like
Did
a
he
full-
actually?
Do we have proof of that?
Could-
Do we have proof of that?
Are
Do we
sure
have
that it
proof
was
of
a straight-
anything before you were born? Like no, like you don't have.
yeah.
But do we have?
Did George Washington exist?
We don't have proof that George Washington exists. Like that's stupid. That's just dumb. Like we just gotta take what we have for like what they have. We
Yeah,
just
he was
gotta
playing
take-
against plumbers,
Just like
Plumbers,
and-
Ronaldo
and-
in Saudi
and-
Arabia.
yeah.
construction workers.
And
from
LeBron's
Which we'll
playing
be getting
against
into
Twitch
later.
streamers, okay? Like, it is what it is, alright? And Jordan was playing against guys who had, like, neck braces and were walking around with torn ACLs. Like, you can say
That's
that.
the tough era.
That's the Do we want to talk about basketball now? Are you
I
ready?
have one more
But,
thing.
yeah.
I thought Bobby Wagner going back to the Seahawks was kind of funny.
I think that's
They
super cool
traded-
though.
They traded him away, and they kind of said, "You're no longer part of our future plans." And then 2 years later, in his future, he went back.
I mean, they
What's
got
the
him for
contract?
pretty cheap though. I think it's 8 mil.
That's fine. That's
Yeah, they
good.
got him for pretty cheap.
He's a little bit overrated, but he's still a solid.
He's a dog in Madden.
He's just,
Madden.
he's just like, he can't really like, he's just really slow. He's a slow.
He's old.
But, you know, he's still a solid linebacker, and I'm sure they love to
I think
have
it's super cool to have him back. Like,
Yeah.
it's so right. Like,
he is a Seahawk.
yeah, it's just so right.
All right, so Jordan and I were heavily not discussing this. We were going over and we're in our NBA section now. Who will be Hall of Famers? So for me, I have 5 sections, right? So you first have the lock. Like if you don't think this guy is a Hall of Famer, you don't
Wrong.
watch
You're
basketball. You're wrong. Then we have the definitely, and I'd say these guys are definitely in, but I could maybe see an argument. Then you have to do a little, or it's arguable. This is like you're projecting a little, maybe if they do it for a couple more years, or you could see an argument where maybe they're not in. Then you have the borderline guys, or you're projecting a lot. And then my last is the hot takes of guys who I think should get in, but I could see where they are, and then I'll have some snubs later. Jordan, how many guys do you have for the Hall of Fame? Count it up.
I'm more of a subjective guy. I have 24.
Let me count mine real quick.
You gonna have yours? We're gonna start off. My first snub is LeBron James. I don't think he should be a Hall of Famer.
Okay,
No.
buddy.
He's the first guy on my list. He's the biggest lock on this list.
I have 30, by the way.
30. Okay, that's
Dang.
not.
That's
too
not
bad.
far off, but
It's not
it's a lot more.
Yeah.
6
So-
months, a lot more.
So
do
who
you
are your
how do we
locks?
want to do this, by the way?
We can go
we
down your tier
Tier
list.
list? All right. So my locks are obviously LeBron. I
Yeah.
mean, he's one of the 2 greatest players of all time. 4 finals MVPs.
We
dumb stuff.
got it. Yeah.
Curry and then KD are also my other locks. I think when you look at their finals MVPs, they've gone to the finals. They've been the best player in the world at
Yeah.
some point.
The impact.
They are locks.
Curry, both of them have completely changed the game. as
Both
well.
of them at some point. If you can say at one point that you are the best player in the world, you should be in the Hall.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Jordan?
Does that count for MVPs for you?
I don't think if you're the MVP, you're the best player in the world.
I think Giannis
So
is
those
still.
are all that's your top tier of locks?
That's my top 3 of locks.
I'd
That's
say
my-
I'd add Jokic and Giannis to that, winning back-to-back MVPs.
I think that
If they retired now, like
I think
this
so.
today, you think
Back,
they'd make it?
back to
that's my lock
MVPs.
thing. If it's retired right now, and I think if Jokic retired right now,
I don't know,
I
man.
think he would
Has
be a
KD
Hall.
won
He would
back-to-back
be a Hall of Famer.
MVPs?
He
But
would
he-
be a Hall of Famer, but he would
Well,
have to wait a couple.
No
years.
finals
if you're
experience.
if you're in this top tier, that means like the second you are
Chris
eligible.
Paul has 6 games.
I'm
in
not
the
talking about
finals.
Chris Paul. I'm not talking about Chris Paul. I'm not talking about if he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about if he should be in lock tier. Because I do have him in the Hall of Fame later, but I don't think he is like tier 1.
Retired now, I don't think he's in.
And I think Giannis is really close. I think he's really close, but
And also, what you said about if you think MVP is the best player in the world, no, because I think Giannis is the best player in the world for like 3 good years now. But Jokic has just been putting up more like numbers, I guess. But I think Giannis is still, I think right now, the best player in the world. He's just unstoppable. Like there's no way to guard that
I
dude.
do think Giannis is the best player in the world. Then I have my definitely in tier. I also think these guys are definitely in, but it's just they haven't been the greatest player of all time or the greatest player at a certain time. I have Giannis, Jokic. Don't need to talk about those guys again. Luka, You have to also keep in mind this is the Basketball Hall of Fame, so he's done a bunch of stuff overseas. But if you look at him here now, he has 3 All-NBAs, 3 All-Stars. When you look at like the catalyst for getting into the Hall of Fame, the benchmark is 3.
Time limit thing.
Oh, I'll fix that. That is really bad.
Did it stop the live?
Nope, the live's still on, but it probably
It'll
blacked
pause it
out.
for- yeah, it'll pause it.
And
for
we-
people.
Let me read comments real quick.
Yeah, let me see
Oh
some
yeah,
comments.
I got some text saying we should read the
Did
comments.
they
Okay.
say like about your sus moment?
So I can't read that name. Says yo yo yo. Mark says Jordan's a hater
Yeah,
and
let
don't
me see this
disrespect.
name. Let me check. If
Don't
this
read
dude's
it out
racist.
loud.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Don't disrespect SDSU. Cute, get out of here.
CH.
Mark, they can see what you're saying. Well, the other 44 people can. There was 44 people on here at one time.
Yeah, Ahmad texted and said it was popping.
Who can burp the loudest?
Yeah,
Jordan.
I got a text about that.
Dope hair. I did
chill.
all them likes. Thank you, Joshua.
Who said dope hair?
A girl, apparently. That's what
Molly.
it
Jordan just made the biggest face of all time.
said. Go, Molly!
Bro,
Shout
we
out
don't
Molly.
even. What if Molly's like 7?
That's on you. That's on you, bro. That's on you. All right. So back to my definitely in. I have Luka. So as I was saying, three All-NBA, 5 All-Star. He
I
already
have
has
Luka on that
3 All-NBA. He already has 3 All-Stars. He's already been high up in the MVP discussion, and he has all that stuff he did in the EuroLeague. Then I have CP3. He's been so good for so long. Many All-Stars, MVPs, or not MVPs.
I love those guys too.
All NBAs. Harden, he was an MVP, and he was, I think, probably should have won 2. Russ, I know he's like declined towards the end of
He was
his
still
career,
so good,
but he was so good for so long.
10-year-olds don't know how good
They
Russ
don't know how
was.
good Russ was. He was
You're a
actually.
hater, bro.
He was actually.
No, current day, get him off my team. Cut him.
Yeah.
Cut him.
But in his prime, he was
Yeah,
definitely.
he was so good.
Then my last 2 are Dwight and Melo. They're like kind of in the league, but I decided to include them just because. I mean, Dwight
yeah.
was a depoy. He was insane in like the early 2010s, and then Melo was. He didn't really win that much, but he was an all-star for like
so
I think a
good.
decade.
Yeah,
So
he was so
he was a really good scorer in a time when scoring wasn't as big. So that's my definitely in Jordan.
I have one more definitely in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just based on accolades. This guy averages 12 points and 11.5 rebounds per game throughout his career. I think he has 3 Defensive Player of the Years, 4 All-NBAs, but only 3 All-Stars. I'm going with 3 to Gobert. I just think
Wow.
Ooh.
accolades, he was the best defender in the league for 3 years straight.
Mhm.
I think all those players have made the Hall of Fame, so I don't think...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think if you win 3 Defensive Player of the Years, you're the best at one thing in the league for 3 years straight, I think you're in the Hall of Fame.
So I do have Rudy Gobert in. I just have him a little bit lower. And the reason is, yeah, when you win 3 depoys and you're probably the best defensive player for more years than that, you definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. The problem with him is that I think when you look at Hall of Fame, a lot of it is like accolades and legacy. Like, what is the vision of the player? That's why like guys who are on like winning teams can get in, even if like they were moved, they're not like talent-wise the best. In the playoffs, he's just so exploitable because he can't like challenge people offensively and he can't guard the perimeter. So like you look at a guy like Terrence Mann drops 39 on him. I mean, he's just been a playoff
That
choker.
wasn't his fault, but it was his fault at the same time.
He's a playoff choker, and he's like not a very good guy who elevates himself in the playoffs. In fact, he's like a guy that teams target. Isn't that crazy how the defensive player of the year teams are targeting on
Yeah.
defense? So that tells me that like I think that tarnishes him. I still think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I would wait a little.
What tier do you have, man?
I have him in the 5th tier, hot takes, because I think it is a hot take, but I think he should be in.
Okay.
And
Those were all my, like the tier that you've gone through so far. My
That
should be in no
Definitely
matter
in.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So my next is, you have to do a little bit, it's a little bit arguable, okay? Next is Embiid. He's had 2 seasons where he's second in MVP voting, and if Jokic didn't exist, he would be a 2-time MVP.
Come on, Jokic.
He has
3
been-
times this year.
He has been a really good player, not only offensively, but also defensively. He's been awesome. I think if he just does it for like 3 or 4 more years, he's in the Hall of Fame. Next up is Kawhi, and Kawhi is really hard because I saw a stat that Andrew Wiggins has more points all time, which I think is still
That's
true,
wild.
which is insane. But, I mean, he's a 2-time finals MVP. When he's at his peak, he's like one of the top 5 best players in the world. So, like, when you think of all time, do you think Kawhi's an all-time, like, top 75 player?
Yeah.
then he should
Yeah.
be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if his longevity isn't great. Then I got Jimmy Butler.
I don't have Jimmy Butler.
You don't have Jimmy Butler. I think
don't know.
Jimmy Butler's crazy because if you look at like Jimmy and Gobert, like I think Jimmy has more All-Stars, more All-NBAs. He's been the best player on a team that's been in the finals. He isn't
No
exploitable.
awards.
He's still really good on defense. I don't think Depoy is quite as valuable as you think it is. I think an All-Star, like there's been years where I think Gobert was Depoy but not All-Star or not All-NBA.
He made All NBA but wasn't an All Star one year, and he cried about it. He literally cried to his mom on like Instagram Live or something about not making the All Star game.
I think Jimmy's definitely a Hall of Famer. I think at certain points he's been like a top 10 player in the league. I think for
Jimmy
a
Butler
decade
has
he's been
4
solid.
All-Star games.
Really, only 4?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I
Wait.
just I feel like he might have
6
yeah.
All-Stars.
6,
Six
4 All
sounds
NBA. Right?
No.
I
It says
just
he's played in 4 All-Star games, been selected 6 times.
Okay. Okay.
there's
This
one
is
season I think he either played 0 minutes.
He's 4-time
Or he
All-NBA.
played 1 minute.
All-NBA
4-time
third team.
When you're a top 15 player in the league for 4 years, almost half a decade, I think you're a Hall of Famer. And the fact that he was in the finals as the best player on his team, and then for the 76ers, he was like literally the greatest shot maybe in NBA history, away from also being in the finals again with Kawhi Leonard hitting the boom boom.
That was
Woo!
crazy. Thank you for the sound effect.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the sound effect. I needed that.
Yeah, you did.
Now I remember what play it is.
I've got 3 more real quick. I've got AD. When you look at AD, it sucks at the end of his career here because, I mean, dude, he can't even like play like 50 games.
He's still putting up numbers though.
He's really good when he's on the court, but he just like you look at guys who like are injury prone. Like he's not injury prone, he's injury like certified. You know,
he's gonna be injured.
Yeah.
you just know that he's not even going to be able to play like 60 games.
Yeah.
So, but he was maybe he might have even been better in that final series when the Lakers won it. He was very close to being the Finals MVP. There was big discussion about whether it was going to be him or LeBron. I remember back in the time. And, I mean, his Pelicans days, he was awesome. Obviously, after the finals for the Lakers, he's been a little rough just because he hasn't been able to be on the court, but he's very talented. Then, last two I'm going to get through them real quick. I got Dame and Paul George, both guys who haven't been able to win very much, but they've been All-Stars, All-NBA for a super long time. When you think of the 2010s, you think of them.
I think Dame's for sure in.
Paul George is a little bit more questionable.
Dame and Paul George have the same career outside of 2 shots.
Mhm.
Dame's just hit 2 more shots. than
On
him.
Paul George.
No, 1 shot on Paul George. It was a bad shot. Dame admitted it
It's
this
a
year.
bad shot.
If he missed if he airballed that shot and lost in overtime, he would have looked like an idiot.
Dude,
So
that
it's a
would've been
bad
so
shot.
bad.
But-
And then the one against the Rockets where he was clapping for the ball. That's when I really found out who Dame was. 'Cause before that, he was an All-Star, and we were young, so I didn't really know that many NBA players. But when he did that, that's a cool moment. That's probably going to be. Those 2 moments are probably going to be like his highlights of his career, which is
Yeah.
it's cool, but it's kind of sad that he's probably never going to win a championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
You
that's
got
who I
anyone
have.
else in that tier?
I have no one else in that too.
I have 2 more players. I have MVP Derrick Rose. I think his longevity is absolutely terrible. But there's no way that you don't put an MVP in the Hall of Fame.
I had him out. I had him out. I had him as a snub. I couldn't, man. I know he was an MVP, but even in the MVP year, like, he wasn't even.
It wasn't like
He wasn't even the best
heavily convincing.
It wasn't like he was like the best player in the league. He was like. It wasn't like he was like LeBron and
like
then he
a
got
Giannis
hurt.
MVP.
He was the MVP, but it was more like with how good the Bulls were. Like back then, how good your team was.
And how young he was.
Really mattered. But how many like? Well, let me look up his All Stars and All NBAs real quick.
Shoot, like
Probably
4.
I guess 6 All-Stars, 3 All-NBAs, maybe 4 All-NBAs.
Dude, it might be less.
Yeah, I don't. I'd say like 3 or 4 All-Stars.
He was healthy for a few years on the Bulls after that. Him and Jimmy had like 1 or 2 years where they were both actively playing together, but Jimmy got better.
Because he can't find it.
Come on, man.
It's ridiculous,
Bro.
I'm on Basketball Reference. I can't
Bro
find it.
can't find the
No
accolade.
way. Alright, let me carry.
Let me carry.
Let me shut back.
I just think Derrick Rose is a lock. I don't know if there's any MVP who's
got
even been close to
3
making the...
3 NBA All-Star.
No chance.
3-time NBA All-Star. That's just
2010, 2011, and 2012.
Yep. Oh man, 3-time All-Star is just really rough.
And he was a starter only once.
It's really rough. And LeBron really probably should have won MVP that year. If we're really being honest with ourselves, I know like you could say that about a lot of MVP years, but I think especially
I think
that
it's team performance, how young
his
he
team really
was.
good and he was really young.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose almost made the All-Star game this year.
Almost.
Due to
So,
fan
Almost.
voting.
If he
Yeah.
would have
Fan
made
voting.
the All-Star game this year, like
it wouldn't have
that's
counted,
like
man.
that's like
Do you
what
think
Dirk made
JaVale
his last year.
McGee gets an All-Star like as his all-time?
No, I don't care. No, he doesn't. Not in my book. I don't care.
No.
Zaza Pachulia?
Nope, no.
He got
no.
voted in.
I don't care.
He was
I'm not
voted
talking
in.
about this with you. I'm not talking about this with you. I have Derrick Rose out, and it sucks, but
Yeah, that's tough.
just injuries.
I have
Do you think every MVP should be in the Hall of
I
Fame?
think if you win an MVP, it should pretty much be
Really?
LeBron. Unless you do some like outside of basketball.
Unless you
stuff.
get injured and then
Yeah, too.
like John Morant, if his career, if he won an MVP next year and then he went back to his
game
old
violence.
ways.
His tendencies.
Also, just a short note on Ja. I don't know what would change in 4 days of therapy. Like if you went to therapy for 4 days,
I don't
and
know.
that
If,
just changed your whole life. Like that's just to me, that sounds like a huge cover up for him just wanting the media off of him.
I don't know if you guys have been to therapy, but it doesn't work like that. It's not just like
No, it's
it-
longevity.
It's not like you know when you get like a shot or you like get medicine and then like 4 days all of a sudden you're better.
Just give you a
That's
shot.
not how therapy
They
works.
just gave
It's like
Josh
you
a
need
shot.
a long time to like think and work through things. And obviously with whatever, I mean,
I don't know what's up with him, man.
he's
I
just
don't know. I feel like he's
a
giving.
dumbass. I'm sorry, but if you're
No, he
pulling guns on people and there's multiple different stories.
No,
of
the
happening,
Pacers one is ridiculous.
He aimed it at a team bus.
I think that is way under talked about in comparison to the latest one.
the kid.
Like
or
he
whatever.
kind of just the kid too. I think the having the gun on Instagram, like that's just a bad decision to take a picture. But I think
Sorry.
that you're
No,
trying to say
I thought-
something.
yeah, I was
my,
like,
my
what?
throat was a little cold. Had to
I
clear it up.
think pointing a gun at another team's bus, like, if I'm on the other team, I just
I'm like,
want you out the league, to be honest. I don't want anything to do with you if you're pointing a gun at my bus.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The dude's crazy for
that was
sure.
insane.
You
You
then
said
have
did
Draymond Green.
Draymond
Ooh,
Green.
that's
Have
tough.
Draymond in the Hall of Fame. I
I
think
agree.
his stats don't really... Because I think the next year that you're going with, this is a bit of an assumption, is like 50-50. Is that the next year you have? Or are they still
My
lost?
next one is 50-50.
Yeah, I think Draymond is probably like a 70% chance to get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I'd have him either at the lowest part of this tier or the highest part of the next tier. I think just being one of the best players on that dynasty.
But he was like the third or fourth best player.
He's just so
He's worse
influential.
than Steph,
though.
KD, and Clay.
It's not his fault that he had to play with two of the top.
Yeah,
It's
he
also
players
not
of all
his
time.
deal that if he is on any other team, literally any other team, you put him on the Hornets, dude, he's not.
But I
in the Hall
don't.
of
I
Fame.
think that's the point, though. He's
Yeah.
such an influential piece to that team. Like,
No, that team.
no, not that. Like, just now, like the Warriors. Now, even he's such an influential piece. He's like their dad almost on their court. Like, dude.
The dad who gets into fights and gets
God,
ejected. The drunk dad
who
who's
punches their son.
Yeah, exactly. He had to punish Jordan Poole. That's how bad it got. He's like the dad.
I'm gonna put him in based off legacy because like Dennis Rodman got
Yeah.
in, and I think that's like kind of comparable.
Yeah, exactly. Something
but
like that.
he's on like my hot take. Like he's gonna have to wait a little bit. But yeah, I think he's barely in. But also,
Yeah, for sure.
just barely,
Yeah,
just
good
barely in. Are we ready for the next tier?
Yeah.
All right. So my next
Have you
tier,
said? Never mind. Yeah.
my next tier is borderline or big projections. So these are guys who have to project a little bit. I only have 3. So my first one is Jason Tatum.
Yeah, that was.
I think he is he's obviously he's a very solid player. He's like probably arguably in the top 10 range right now. He's probably gonna have room to improve. So you look at his career, I mean, if he retired today, he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But I think you can reasonably say that he can make it. The other guy I have that is also pretty decently big projection is Trae Young. I think Trae Young and Dame, you could kind of be comparable. If he has like a similar career to him, I don't think he's gonna win like any MVPs. I don't think he's gonna win any finals. But he's a guy who could like always win the scoring title. He could always win the assist but title. And he's gonna be putting up big numbers. He's gonna rack up all-stars, and I think he could definitely make it.
Last year, didn't he have the most total points and total assists in the league?
I think he did.
It's weird because he didn't have the most points per game, but because the games played, he had the most total
Mhm.
points.
And then I have one last one in this tier, and it's Kyrie. Kyrie
That's tough.
is tough, but because it's like with injuries, right? But I think you can look to him
Injuries.
Injuries,
Even
just
just
not
like
being
off court stuff,
Yeah, I
like
got
just
off the court
issues.
stuff.
Mhm.
Would the NBA be willing to put him in?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also, I think Father Steve just came home. So it's a little bit awkward. I thought he was at a movie. No way they're home.
Oh.
That's insane. That's insane. But
That was a quick movie. 30 minutes.
They didn't let us in.
okay, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Would you guys mind going?
Why did they get wedding? Do you know, like,
I will
age?
I'm figuring that out.
Probably.
Anyways, so like I think when you look at a guy like Kyrie, I think it's very similar to like Anthony Davis. You know, he hasn't been on the court at times, especially in recent years, but he was like the second best player in the LeBron championship, one of the most influential championships, and he's been a very good player. A lot of accolades, but it's close, and I can totally see not letting him in. We're filming, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. Do you have anyone else in your borderline or big projections here?
I have Klay Thompson. I think pretty much anyone who was an all-star
He's a
on the
monster.
Warriors, so Steph, Klay, Draymond, KD, I think they all deserve to make it for just being part of the defining team of the 2010s decade.
Yeah, Clay is in my next tier below that for hot takes because I thought it was a little bit of a hot take. But yeah, I definitely believe that he will be an all-star. Then I have a pretty big list of hot takes.
Jesus.
So I'm going to get through it. I have Rudy Gobert, Depoy, all that jazz. Then I have Draymond, who we already talked about, and Clay. Then I have, I had Dre there. All right, then I have some guys who are Draymond Green.
Dre Day?
I said Dre.
Dre
Oh,
there.
Dre.
Dre there.
So then next I have Devin Booker. D-Book, he could win a championship here with the Suns, and he's going to have a lot of all-stars, and I think he's going to be a guy who's like a top 15 player in the league for a decently long time. So I think he probably will get in, especially since he's going to be on a contending team. Like, you look in like 10 years and you're like, yeah, he was the second best guy in a championship or two, had a lot of all-stars. Yeah, I think we'll let him in. And then Donovan Mitchell, I think that, what?
I got to see him play in person.
You get to see him.
What a great game that was.
Yeah, that's a great game, DJ. That was a great game.
We have a little inside joke with our friends. We went to a Clippers game, and we got to see them play against Donovan Mitchell, who's his favorite player, and he didn't get to go, unfortunately, but we like to keep that above him.
Yeah, I'm sure it was an awesome game, guys. I'm sure it was just a jolly great time to
It was
see
a
Spider.
fantastic game.
But I think Spider will make it. I don't think he'll win a championship. This Cavs team's really good, but I think it's kind of destined to be like that those Raptors teams that we saw. And we'll even see if Donovan Mitchell stays around for a super long time. But I think he's a super solid player in the league. He's obviously a great scorer, and I think he can make it. And then I have Blake.
I didn't consider
Blake
Blake.
is a tough thing. Because when you think about Blake, oftentimes you think of the Lob City Clippers, who
Hall of Famer. Give it to me.
you think of Blake, who those teams didn't succeed. They didn't win the title like they were supposed to, and they underperformed. But Blake was such an electric player. I mean, he was a little bit underrated. He was very close to Chris Paul in those.
I believe he got third
Teams.
in an MVP voting one
Mhm.
year.
He was even really good on those Pistons teams. And the problem is that, like, when you look at his play style is very based on athleticism. And that's very difficult for a guy. When you get older, the athleticism goes away. But he also developed his game and became a better scorer and playmaker overall with the Pistons.
He was a really good shooter.
Yeah, so for like a decade, I mean, for like the 2010s, he was one of the better players, and I think you got to put him in the Hall of Fame. Then my last two are Anthony Edwards and John
That's
Morant.
just impossible.
John Morant, as long as he's not a hooligan, I think he'll be okay. I think he'll make it.
That's crazy.
He's pointing guns at people, he's holding on IGs, beating people up. Like, just don't do that, and you will have a similar
So you
projection.
said Ja, but not Zion.
I did not. Zion is on my snub list, and then I have Ant. I
Slow
think
down.
Ant is super solid, and
It's just
It's a
impossible.
big
it's hard to predict.
it's just a hot take.
Yeah,
It's a hot take. We'll see.
far off.
I have one guy, and it's based off one stat alone. All-time leading scorer of a franchise, Brook Lopez. All-time leading scorer of the New Jersey Nets, New York Nets,
Has
Brooklyn
he-
Nets.
But does that even matter? Like
If he wins a Defensive Player of the Year this year, that could actually
that
propel him
I
into
can
the
see.
Hall of
That I
Fame.
can see giving it to him.
So he's probably, to me,
That's
like a
crazy.
35% chance to get in. But
Has he ever even been an All-Star?
No.
yeah,
No,
multiple
yeah,
times
yeah.
on the Nets. I'd guess like 2 or 3 times.
Multiple times.
2 or 3 is multiple, but I just think
One
all-time
All-Star.
leadings. One?
One.
What, 2012?
2013.
13.
One All-Star is just really rough. That means you have only been a top 25 player in the league one time.
Yeah.
This website
That
says
is-
Brook Lopez deserves to make a second All-Star appearance. It doesn't say how many he has though.
If you give him the depoy, it's like maybe, but one All-Star is really rough.
Yeah.
Who are we letting in next? Mike Conley?
No.
Like, come on.
You might-
DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He did a lot in Toronto, kind of him and Kyle Lowry.
And then he got
lifted the
traded for
franchise.
Kawhi, and they won the championship the next year.
He had to. He had to.
I know. No, I know, but you think of him you think of him in a similar light as Blake, where like his legacy is kind of not living up to what his team would have wanted, but he's just worse, I think.
I think he had a way longer peak than, I won't say peak, but all-star level career
Yeah.
than.
Yeah,
Didn't
DeMar's
he
still
make an
playing.
all-star?
DeMar's still playing.
He's still an all-star.
He's
so.
not a good defender, and he's a very ball dominant guy. So at the current state, I mean, what are the Bulls?
So is LeBron.
Bulls are pretty bad.
LeBron's
LeBron
not a
can
good
play off.
defender.
No, he is a good defender. There's a difference
Current
between
day?
LeBron and DeMar DeRozan. LeBron, people are gonna like pick it out. DeMar is genuinely like a bad defender. LeBron is just like he kind of doesn't give effort sometimes. DeMar's just sucks. I have him out. And then my other snubs are D Rose, as I mentioned before, Kyle Lowry, who like I think he also I
There's a shirt for Kyle Lowry.
I do have a shirt for Kyle Lowry.
You
I'll
wore
bring
it
it off
last
stream
week.
soon.
You wore it last week.
I wore it last week? Okay.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, I think he only has like 2-3 All-Stars. But he's part of that historic like Raptors championship, and he was very good, but I just don't think he has quite what it takes. And then I also have Zion. I just don't know if he's ever going to be healthy.
Yeah.
I just don't know, like, he's played like an average of 30 games every single season of his career.
I think he's played, it's down to like 23 or 22% of his possible games. Which,
And
if
it's
you
not-
put that into numbers, like, which NBA player shoots 22% from 3? So they take a 3 before the game, and that decides if Zion plays or not.
That's crazy.
I gotta pull up a player. Like, JaVale McGee might have a higher chance of hitting a 3 than Zion playing in a random game.
And the thing is, it's not one injury either. It's multiple injuries all to his like lower body
Lingering. too.
over the course of and it's just at that size that's just gonna happen, and that's
The
also
big
his
body.
play style. So he can't lose weight because that's what makes him so good. But if he's at that weight, he's gonna get hurt, and it's just he would have to stay healthy and win a championship. And like, I don't even know. I just don't think he can make it. Any other snubs or anything you want to talk about, Jordan?
No, I just want to find a 3-point shooter who has a higher chance of making a 3-pointer than Zion playing in an NBA game. Because that's ridiculous. Like, do you think you have a higher chance of hitting a 3? Like
NBA
22%?
three?
NBA 3.
NBA 3.
Say high school. Say like
High school
a
three,
normal-
yeah. High school 3, yeah.
See, that sucks.
That's crazy.
I think Nico might have a better chance.
Stop.
No.
Stop. Free throw.
Stop.
A
No,
free
no,
throw.
no,
He
stop,
airballed a
stop.
layup.
Stop,
He airballed a
stop,
layup
stop.
in horse.
Too far.
Okay, I'll stop. And if we don't have anything else about Hall of Famers, let's talk about the NBA expansion here for a moment. So a lot of people have been saying that there's a large influx of talent in the NBA. What do you guys think about a potential expansion? What do you think? How many teams would potentially be added?
I think it would have to be an even number of teams. So I would say
Wow, that is
What?
the take of the
the
second.
last time it was one team. I mean, you keep on adding one team year by year, but I think it would be 2 teams, probably one in Seattle and maybe one in Vegas.
I was gonna say
But then
that,
they would have to
Vegas.
move Memphis to the east.
I think that's
So that it would be 16 teams in each conference. Maybe change up the divisions because of that. Maybe
Who cares
give-
about NBA divisions though? But yeah, I think 2 teams makes the most sense. Seattle's definitely going to get one. Maybe Vegas. I think even 4 could maybe
Yeah.
work. I don't think they would jump to that right away.
Yeah, I don't know if you could add 4 right away.
4 right away would be tough because 4 expansion teams, like they're all going to be vouching for the number 1 pick. but I think 2 could work, and then maybe in like another 10 years add 2 more. And potential cities could be like Seattle, Vegas. I was thinking. I don't know.
San Diego.
Mexico.
No, not San Diego. I think they could. Yeah, I definitely think that
I think NFL
Like,
could go across
yeah,
like
I
borders,
think-
but I don't
I
know.
Ontario-
was talking about it.
Ontario and maybe like Mexico City or something.
I think I know I'm not like too experienced with the whole NBA stuff, but proof that it worked really well. The NHL. I know you guys aren't big hockey guys, but they just did an expansion and it's done really well. Like the Kraken are a super cool, like almost like hip team. I could say like
Yeah.
that's such a cool team. The Kraken. It was in
Didn't
Seattle.
Vegas.
Yeah, the Golden Knights are
They
on.
made the
Dude, I went
championship their
to-
first year.
I was in Vegas and their team is huge right now. And I went to Vegas and it was a game day and it was like they had parades outside. Like the culture there for that team is crazy.
It's a parade
like-
inside my city. Yeah.
Like, I think the expansion just is so, and it brings just such a hype to that team that you just want to see. Like, I'm not like huge on hockey either, but when I first watched a little bit of hockey, the Kraken was such an exciting team for me to watch. Like, I don't know, it's
Jacksonville basketball team.
No, stop it.
no.
Tampa Bay basketball team. No. But yeah, I could see 2 or 4 over the next. I could do.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
All right, DJ, this is your time to shine. Are you ready for the soccer section?
Sort of.
So let's talk about the Premier League right now. How
I'll
the
check
table
out
is
the comments
standing.
right now because I have nothing to provide.
All right. Let me just pull up the table for you real quick here because we're going to talk
Okay.
about the top and the bottom of the table. Jordan, are there any comments we need to know about?
Nah.
Thank you.
Ronaldo or Messi?
We can talk about that right now.
Yeah, sure.
Messi?
I'm not. Okay. I'm a huge advocate of Messi. I think Ronaldo is almost lazy in a way. Like,
Mhm.
That's what
Not-
I've
not-
genuinely been saying that. I've been
not
saying that.
lazy, but I feel
He
like
doesn't give it all on the
like
pitch.
when he sees his team is struggling, he doesn't care as much. Like Messi just always has like constant passion. Like you never see like a lack of passion from it. Like you never see in the media something like Messi's not giving his all, Messi's not trying. Like
Jordan, what are you doing? No way. I know what he's doing.
No, you don't. No, 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 no,
I know what he's
no,
doing.
no, 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 no.
But if you are, go ahead. Talk about freaking Ronaldo.
I think Messi's never. I think Messi's never like. Never not working hard. I think Ronaldo, you find him slacking. Even in his Saudi Arabia days, right now, in the last game, he was like freaking out at his teammates, like going crazy after the game because just like he was angry about a loss. Like you just need to have some sort of like head to you. Like I don't know. I think Messi's just better all around. Honestly.
So I'm a guy who's just recently getting into soccer, and I don't know that much, but I agree with you on the Messi take. And when I look at it from like an objective standpoint, I've genuinely asked people who cheer for Ronaldo, like, what is his like case?
Yeah,
Messi has more goals, he has more assists.
well, not yet, but he will. He's
like
like
he's younger.
He's like 20
He's-
games behind, I think, and
one
he's
of
only
the-
like 20 goals or something like that.
He's
No, he's
one-
like 100 games behind. He's only like 20 goals.
And
I think.
Ronaldo's playing in a Saudi league, which
Yeah,
is like
yeah,
the
exactly.
60th best in the world. He's won the World Cup. He's won more Ballon d'Ors. I mean,
Yeah.
I think also when you're watching him on the field, you can just tell
chill.
that he is a different level of player. I mean, his dribbling, his
Yeah.
playmaking. He's not only a good goal scorer, but he sets up things for other
Yeah, he's a
teammates. That
playmaker.
I think is
I think a huge thing that's like completely overlooked when the Ronaldo Messi take was like 2 years ago. The biggest thing people would say was Messi doesn't have international trophies. Like that was like the huge difference between the two. Like when Ronaldo fans were like arguing that, they'd say that. But then Messi went on to win the South American Cup.
No,
Everyone just
Copa-
overlooked that.
Copa.
America.
Yeah.
He won, and then he won the World Cup, like the
Yo.
biggest tournament in the entire world. And like, right when that happened, all the Ronaldo fans were just like, "Oh, like it's just a 7-game tournament. Like you can't just simplify that." Like,
You have to win 7 in a row, or you have to win 4 in a row,
but
and you have to win.
people are saying that like the Champions League is more impressive, but like I just don't think there's any more arguments for Ronaldo anymore.
Yeah. I think the World Cup is probably more impressive. Also because it's only every 4 years. You have so many less chances to win the World Cup. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
like, you have every year for the Champions League. So while it might be a little bit more difficult, you have more cracks at it.
Yeah, and Ronaldo's also played in more. Ronaldo's played in 5, Messi's played in 4.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we both are in agreement that Messi
Yeah.
is the better player.
I agree.
So let's talk about the Premier League table real quick. So Arsenal's on top right now over Man City by about 8 points. They've won their last 5. Do you think there's any chance that anyone catches them?
We've seen teams bottle the league before. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I would be shocked for sure, but I wouldn't be like dumbfounded surprised. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see City's far good enough to take the
City is very
take the title.
Mhm.
Holland is having like one of the greatest seasons of all time. So like
Yeah.
Arsenal should win, but I could see them losing it.
What about Rami Mali and Logan saying that Manchester United's going to make a title charge?
They're done.
Yeah.
That loss to Liverpool killed them. Like
Mhm.
I actually believed in a little bit of a low key title charge, but 7-0. 7 days of the week, 7-0. They're done.
No, I don't think it could only be City. And it's going to be tough, but we would have to see. But yeah, I think Arsenal will keep it. I think that Tottenham is going to get over Manchester United. I think they do. They're only 1 point back.
Yeah, I can
think
see that.
Manchester United's looked a little bit worse. And I mean, with Tottenham, it's tough because, like,
They're such a hit or miss. Like they can win against City, and then the next game they could lose to Wolves. Like
I don't like our strategy. I don't like how we play. We just sit back and play like
I think-
this 5-back.
I think your
defense.
guys'
Jordan
subs-
Jota.
I think
It's
your
not- no,
guys'
it's not Jordan
substitutes
Jota,
are
our
also
passing-
really bad sometimes.
Our
Like
passing is so uncreative. It's just like they.
you guys just force it to Son and Kane, your best players, and hope it works, which
Yeah.
is fair. It does work, but there's
It's
no
not enough for the
creativity.
title.
I feel for Spurs.
It's always going to be like a 2 or 3, 4 or 5.
Yeah, where I feel United, they were on such a tear before that Liverpool. Like, I almost thought that Liverpool game was almost a lock W. Because Liverpool's been struggling hard, and United was on a tear,
Mhm.
and now it's just dead. Like, the
Yeah.
team just feels dead.
Yeah, and then also like Manchester United, it's crazy to look at. Like they, as the 3 in the Premier League, they only have a goal differential of 6. That Liverpool game.
Yeah, that Liverpool game. Well,
Really
think about it. That Liverpool 7 goals against just kills you. So
Mhm.
before that, they were about equal with Spurs.
All right, let's look at the bottom of the table now.
Not Wolves. Wolves are clear.
Are they like officially clear of relegation?
No one's officially clear.
Yeah. Well, I mean like a top.
Well, yeah. The bottom 10.
The bottom 10 could definitely get relegated. Who do you have as your relegation picks, DJ?
Southampton, Bournemouth, lock.
They're quite.
I really hope Leicester doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they will. I think Nottingham will either Nottingham or Everton will drop. I think West Ham's too good. Obviously, they're not good, but they're too good to be in relegation. So I think they'll hit a random stride and they'll go. Leicester, I also feel they're not too. They're actually struggling really bad right now, but they're just such an iconic team that I don't see them dropping. The script is there.
So yeah, I have Bournemouth and Southampton dropping as well.
Yeah.
And then for that last place, I also have it was between Everton and Nottingham Forest. I have Nottingham Forest. It's a coin flip.
What are their points right now?
Going over the other team, they're both at 26.
And I've got Everton going. Everton's so
Everton.
bad.
Yeah, but dude, Nottingham Forest defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Leicester and West Ham are talented enough where they can get out of there, and it's so tight. I mean, it's literally from the 13 to the 19 is like 4 points.
Yeah.
I think Wolves are talented enough to stay out.
Come on.
And then Leeds has the American free spirit.
Yes.
So they will be able to.
Leeds can't get relegated.
They have like Jordan. They have a bunch of American players, and then
They're actually good.
No, they're all right. They're
they're
mid-table.
They're the 14.
They're
Yeah.
mid-table.
And then Crystal Palace is also good enough. And then after that, when you get to the 11, there's a big jump in
That's how
11
it
points.
usually is. It's usually like middle, top, and bottom.
So I think it'll be Southampton, Bournemouth, and Nottingham Forest. But that
I'll
last
take
one,
Southampton, Bournemouth, and Everton.
Everton's really bad too. Now let's go on to our starting 11. DJ, do you want to go first? So
Let's go pick for pick.
Let's go pick for pick.
Did you make one?
So
No.
Oh, okay.
So basically what's going on here is we're picking our starting 11 for current players in soccer, like as they are right now.
Current, not all time.
What's your formation?
I just did a 4-3-3. I don't think it's
Okay.
the best formation if I want to build an all-time team, but I just when I think of just like building a team, I always do a 4-3-3.
I did a 3-4-3 because I had trouble picking defenders.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I wanted to have
Wingbacks are low-key struggling right now. But okay,
my positions are a little.
Yeah, I saw that you have a little. Yeah.
Let's start with goalie.
Goalie, I have Courtois. I think
Same.
he's the best. I don't even think that's really crazy arguable. I don't think anyone's close, to be honest.
Give me Neuer.
You can have Neuer.
Yeah, isn't he hurt though?
Neuer, yeah, he
Oh,
broke his
yeah.
leg.
So I'm gonna go with Courtois as well.
Yeah.
I have trouble saying his name, so.
So do you have 3 center backs?
I have 3. Okay, well, one of my center backs is not a center back.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so
So-
I have the same player as you. I've got Hakimi. He's
Yeah.
really good. He led Morocco to
Yeah.
a crazy World Cup run.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't just him, but he was a huge piece of that. He hit the penguin on Spain. That's just nuts.
What's that?
The Jalen Waddle.
Oh.
He hit the Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Because the story behind it is one of his teammates that's on Spain got snubbed from the roster, so he hit the dance that they do together for club on Spain's, like as like a you should have taken him type thing.
Nah, he's just like Jalen Waddle.
No, I don't even think he knows who Jalen Waddle is.
I thought that's what it was. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I have Hakimi as well. He's like a bright spot on that PSG, just like not
That team's just
great
so like
defense.
they're such a good team, but like player wise, but they just suck, man.
Yeah, they're
They're
very
like
talented.
the Nets, kind of, in basketball.
Yeah, well,
Certain
prime,
teams.
not now.
It's a
Nets,
fine
but yeah.
comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have
Last
Hakimi
year.
back there, and then my other defender. Well, I don't know who your defenders are.
Go ahead, give me yours.
I'm just should I give my 2?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so my other 2 are Van Dijk and Ruben Diaz. What? So who are yours?
I've got Jordan Kim Min Jae has been incredible this year.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I told you wouldn't know.
What league does he play in?
Serie A, which is the Italian league.
Not too familiar. with
Napoli has been on a tear this year, like clearing Italy, doing well in Champions League, and a huge reason for that is Kim Min Jae.
I thought
They'll
that-
leave him solo back and send their wingbacks all the way up. That dude is a tank this year.
Mhm.
I think Van Dijk's a little bit washed this year. Liverpool's been struggling.
Yeah,
And then
that might just be off reputation, to be honest. But he's been like the icon.
yeah,
of
he's
the
been
British
so good that
For a while,
this
so
he's still playing well, but this little bit of a dry spell, I guess, is such a hit on his reputation.
I'm confident that still he is a top defender and
Yeah.
he can get back into form.
It's also the same thing with Trent. I think Trent's the second best right back, and I think it's actually close with Hakimi, but just because they're doing so bad right now, I picked Hakimi. But I still think Trent is. I think he's so underrated right now. People are hating on him so much, but he's still been so decent. Like he's been class. Defensively, he struggled, but I think that's still overlooked. People just look at the lowlights and just assume he's been terrible. But he's
As a
really not
defender,
been
it's
that
hard
bad.
because I mean you know this, DJ.
Yeah,
like
yeah, I
when
play
you
defense.
when you play very well and you do a lot of good things, it doesn't get noticed. But you make one big mistake,
Yeah.
and then
That's what's super stressful because if you make the mistake, the only people behind you is sometimes the center backs, and if it's not the center backs, it's the goalie. So one big mistake and it's shown everywhere, but one good play, it's kind of just shown and looked over.
That's like kickers in the NFL. They get no credit
Yeah,
at all when they're
exactly.
doing good. But I have one game where you miss back-to-back or 3 kicks and you lose a game, you're cut.
And my other center back is Eder Militao, Real Madrid center back. He's been locked down.
for me it was between him and Ruben Diaz.
He's been locked down this year. Real Madrid has just been in the La Liga. They've been decent. They've been good, but nothing like crazy. They've been good. Champions League, they've been amazing. They completely shut down Liverpool, and I think Eder Militao was a huge part of that. He's such a good defender.
Do we want to move on to?
I have one more because I've got 4 backs. So
Oh.
my left back is Alphonso Davies. I love him so much. He's so good. He carried Canada. He scored their only goal in the World Cup history.
What?
So
Why are you laughing?
In history,
yeah,
they've never scored before.
no.
That's insane.
He's really good. He's
He is quite well.
influential. A bright
Didn't
spot.
he play like left wing for Canada?
Yeah,
like,
he
play-
plays forward for Canada.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah, yeah.
That's how bad
That's
they are.
very terrible. Yeah, no, that's not a bad pick at all. And then, so I guess I should just go with my left mid.
Oh, you,
so,
okay, you got. Okay,
so I've got
left mid, center mid, center
left
mid,
mid
right
center,
mid. Okay,
but
yeah.
my left mid is not a left mid at all.
Okay,
I just picked a midfielder.
Yeah, I got
like
you,
it's
I
more
got
like
you, I got you, I
midfielders.
got you.
So my left mid, which is obviously not a left mid, he's a center defensive mid. Is
Yeah,
Casemiro.
I have him as well. I
yeah,
have him at
but-
center defensive mid though. Not
Yeah,
left.
no, I just wanted to put 4 midfielders
Yeah, yeah,
there because I wanted to have 4 midfielders. There's an influx of really good midfielders. So I put Casemiro there. He's been a very big part.
We have the same midfield 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a very big part of why Manchester United has been on the come up.
Dude, yeah.
And a lot of people are saying like Rashford, but I think Casemiro is the best player.
Well, yeah. Defensively, they've been so good. Like obviously before that Liverpool game.
That
but,
was a bad.
like everyone was saying, Varane was amazing. And I think is completely overlooked is Casemiro. Casemiro's been amazing.
Captain,
like,
yeah.
a rock to that defense. Like, the reason that the defense has been so good is because they can't get to the defense because Casemiro's there.
Yeah.
And he's also been a low-key playmaker. Like, not like obviously he's a CDM, so he's not getting up into attack, but he'll make plays happen. He'll play good through balls to spark an attack. Like, he's there.
Yeah, and then do you want me to move on to my sentiment?
Go ahead. I guess
Okay.
we have the same.
We have the same set, yeah. So mine is I've got Luka Modric and Kevin De Bruyne.
I do too. Yeah,
And-
I think that's not arguable right now.
No.
They're both so good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go over that much. They're great facilitators for their team. They're some of the best. They're the best midfielders in the in soccer right now. If you had to pick one over the other, who would you go with?
For age purposes, I'd go De Bruyne. For straight influence,
I think the World Cup is telling, man. Because Croatia. I mean,
they're
I know
good,
it's not-
but they're not nuts.
Did,
yeah,
did they not go to the final
yeah, they did.
four? And then did Belgium
2014.
not get crushed? And I think
Yeah, Belgium's really bad. In
Did
the
they
World
not even
Cup.
qualify?
No, they did. That was Italy.
No, for the knockout stages.
Oh, I probably yeah.
I just remember them doing very bad, and
Belgium's always bad in the World Cup. They have such a good
they
roster.
have a good roster, yeah. But that's not like the end all be all. But I'll take Modric just because you're taking De Bruyne.
Yeah. I don't know. I think influence. De Bruyne is just captain mentality. I'm taking Modric, but actual player,
Yeah.
De Bruyne is so good.
His passes are insane.
Yeah.
Some of those crazy things. And then since we both have a front three, I'll go with my final midfielder.
Wait, you also yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Neymar. I just wanted to have the
Yeah,
Brazilian.
I also didn't put him just because he's hurt right now.
He is hurt right now.
Yeah, I didn't even include it. I just skipped over my mind because he's hurt right now. But yeah, I could see Neymar anywhere in any roster. Obviously, he's one of the top maybe three in this generation.
All right, front three.
Okay, left wing, I've got Vinicius Jr.
Okay.
And then I also said a little Kvaratskhelia. He's been incredible for Napoli this year. And then I also put a little note for Rashford because he's been on a tear as well. But out of those three, I picked Vinny. He's consistently good. I'm not going to say carries Real Madrid, obviously, but carries their offense because even Benzema's been struggling this year, and Vinny's just been that guy. He is that guy. So, yeah, that's who I picked.
So at left wing, I have. So this is another positional thing.
little
He doesn't play left wing, but I have Mbappe.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, his pace is just insane. He's an amazing goal scorer, and I wanted my front three to be who I think just the best front three.
Yeah. For striker, I put Mbappe. So I put in parentheses Haaland because obviously he's incredible, but I did mine positionally different from yours. So striker. I put Haaland second, and then I put Victor Osimhen.
I wanted to get him there.
Victor Osimhen's been crazy this year.
Napoli,
Him and Kvara.
the Italian league.
Him and Kvara have been crazy this year.
His FIFA card's insane, Jordan.
It's sad that neither of them made my team right now. They're not the best, but they're top three in their positions. I think they're both so good this year.
It's so hard because there's so many good.
and
players.
you just can't put Osimhen over Mbappe or Haaland even. But I picked Mbappe. He showed us in the World Cup. I think he's the best player right now. Actual skill wise, I think Messi won the Ballon d'Or just accolades and performance wise. But I think Mbappe, skillfully wise, is the best player in the world right now.
I had Haaland as striker.
Yeah.
I wanted to have Haaland as striker because he's more of the striker
Yeah,
than him
he's
and Mbappe.
yeah.
A lot of people are tappins. Well, if it was that easy, everyone else would.
Yeah, and he's always in the right. He knows where to be. He's a smart player, underratedly smart player. He knows where to be.
His attacking positioning is great, and he has a rocket attached to his leg. When he shoots the ball, it is just at amazing speed.
There's a reason he scores. He did it on Dortmund, and then when he got sent to Man City, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter if he scores because it's Man City. But he did it for Dortmund too. So
Yeah.
there's no arguing.
And then we both have the same right wing. We have Messi.
Yeah, I don't think it's arguable.
Just look at the World Cup.
Messi's the best player.
Just watch the World Cup and tell me he should not be.
He-
on the starting 11.
Honestly, I think carried that Argentina. He would play back in the midfield. He'd come up to the attack. He'd be midfield attack. He played everywhere. Watching back those games, I'm he played every position.
Yeah, he did it all.
Yeah.
And if you don't have him on your starting 11, then you are being disingenuous.
You just are either a Messi hater, a Ronaldo fanboy. I don't think there's anything that doesn't have him in your starting 11.
Yeah, but I think that about wraps anything up. Jordan, do you have any Anything else to say around any? We've covered a lot. We've gone from March Madness to the NBA to the NFL to, I mean, pretty much all the top 5 soccer leagues that we kind of had to cover there going through soccer. We have covered a lot. Any final notes or anything you want to share?
R.I.P.G. R.I.P.P.G.
Yeah, I'm happy that he.
I think he's gonna.
You
be
guys
out
are
for the
lucky.
season.
You guys are lucky with what it
I
ended
thought
up to be, though.
I thought he may never play basketball again.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Dude,
Never play basketball.
oh my God, he's already broken his leg, and his leg was. Knees are not supposed to look like that. I thought he was done.
I thought he was done for at least an ACL, but
I didn't see it, but I heard it was really bad.
they're saying he's supposed to
you
get
know how your knee is like
reevaluated
this?
right before the
Imagine,
playoffs.
literally imagine my leg has been flipped. It was awful.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that he's all right. I think that is a good closing.
All right to stretch, but better than what it could be.
Like, fantastic. That is literally fantastic for what it could have been. But that about wraps it up. Thanks for coming, DJ. I was going to say thanks for having us. No, but thanks for coming, DJ.
Of course.
Thanks for coming once again, as always, Jordan. And that is all for everyone. Have a good one.
There was a pink thing.